basically tell these, especially young women or single mom, hey, saying no is not selfish.
Yeah.
It might be good for you for your own sanity.
Well, it creates pain, is not good for them. And so their idea of boundaries is I need to tell them that they can't do that anymore, or that I'm not going to take that, I'm not going to do that. When in actuality, boundaries are really more about self-care.
Welcome to Knowledge Seeker Podcast. Today we have Kimberly Mathis. She is secret weapon for turning I am stuck into watch me soar. She went from therapist coach to life coach, rocket fuel, convincing young moms that spit stains are not a personality trait. Kimberly.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's unstuck some people.
Okay. It's my favorite thing to do.
Favorite thing to do. So basically, tell us the exact moment when you feel like that this chair that you're sitting on is basically not enough. You need to coach people in action.
Yeah, I don't think it was actually one moment. I think it was a lot of things leading up to that decision. And really my first experience at all with a coach or what coaching was in my early 20s. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had gone to graduate school, gotten my degree in marriage and family therapy, and then was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years because we were living overseas. And one of the women I was friends with on the military base where we were had just done a certification for coaching and some training, and she was needing hours. And turns out I was about to go through a divorce. And so she offered to provide some coaching support during that. And I grew up with a psychologist father. So anytime something was going on, the normal thing in my household was you go to therapy and you talk about it. So that was not new to me, but I had not really heard of coaching. I didn't really know what it was. And the experience I had with her in those sessions, receiving coaching, was so different from what I had experienced as a client in therapy, that I knew at that point, this is something I'm probably going to want to do. Now, at that time, never occurred to me that I would only do coaching. The plan was always get my degree. When I'm done being a stay-at-home mom, I'll get my license. I'll have a private practice. So coaching was just something I was going to add on. But I think because of that, even when I was licensed and had a therapy practice, I was always like a coachy therapist. I tended to just kind of have more of that coaching philosophy, I guess, in my practice. And I was so excited to finally do a certification in 2018. 2019 was most of that year. Didn't have plans necessarily of what I was going to do with it, just kind of like another thing to add to my continuing education. And then COVID happened in 2020. And everything shifted. All of a sudden, we were doing telehealth, which wasn't the norm at the time. I mean, it seems kind of strange now because we're so used to it. At the time, HIPAA requirements, licensure, regulations, all sorts of things were not caught up with technology. So it was a huge shift. And with everything going online, in the back of my mind, I was kind of like, okay, if I was thinking about doing coaching, because coaching would be more virtual, I can see people across state lines, unlike therapy. I was just kind of like, maybe this is the time to do it, to make that move, because it's kind of happening anyway. So I started taking on coaching clients, and I had 0 therapy clients on my roster by January of 21.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So now completely you switch to coaching now.
Yes.
And I think we talked about earlier that your most clients are women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And so let's talk about women and especially single moms. So single moms actually, how you basically guide them to become, maybe a leaders in their field, or how to basically be a successful mother, and also an entrepreneur or a coach.
Yeah. Single moms have so many things on their plate. They're filling so many roles. So there are certain issues particular to single moms that you don't see, in another mother who has like a
that was I
partner
was
at
gonna
home.
the struggles.
Yeah. There are things like finances, maybe it's a one income household. Sometimes they're living with other people or family for support. There's a lack of shared responsibility. So you don't have someone else who can stay home, with a sick kid if they need to. Or even just coming home after a long day of work and having to take care of the house and the child. There's just those things that you don't see. And at the same time, a lot of those things are improved with some of the same work I'm doing with a lot of my clients across the board, which is a lot of boundaries work, asking for help, being able to ask for help, being able to articulate and to first be in touch with what you're actually needing instead of pushing through that or stuffing it down, and being able to ask for help without it meaning something about you, that you are less than, that you can't do it all yourself.
Yeah, no, I think the boundaries, that's the main thing. Let's talk about boundaries because I think most people, they have no boundaries.
Yeah.
And also, they don't know how to say no to things.
Yes.
And so the special people like you, like coach, how you basically tell these, especially young women or single mom, hey, saying no is not selfish.
Yeah.
It might be good for you for your own sanity.
Yes. There's so much there. So let me try to address things separately. I think on the one hand, there's a huge misperception around boundaries and what boundaries are. Most of the clients that I work with have they misunderstand what boundaries are exactly, because they come in to work with me thinking of boundaries as like this ultimatum in a sense, or a demand that they are giving to someone else. Like someone else is asking too much of them, they're talking to them in some way, they're doing something that creates pain, is not good for them. And so their idea of boundaries is I need to tell them that they can't do that anymore, or that I'm not going to take that, I'm not going to do that. When in actuality, boundaries are really more about self-care.
Yeah.
Because we don't control what people do.
That's a key word you just said, self-care.
Yeah. So boundaries are about you figuring out what you need for your mental, emotional, physical well-being. And sure, you can make a request of someone else. You can tell someone else it really is best for me if you don't yell at me when we're talking. Or I am not going to be able to continue helping you out with this because it's just draining me and I don't have the time. They can make that request, but because we don't control people, if that person does not, if they're unwilling or unable to, then it's up to my client to then say, okay, they're kind of crossing the line. How do I want to take care of myself in this situation? Not, I can only be okay if this person changes. Almost like if we expect them to be themselves.
I think we talk about this about change thing that when we are dating, everything looks so perfect that this person, I don't want to change this person.
Yeah.
I like you the way you are. I love you the way you are. But then as soon as we get married or something, then things change. Like, I don't like you to do this way. I don't want you to do this way. I want you to do this way.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, where you're telling that you have to put boundaries. Okay, listen, I can do this and I cannot do this.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what kind of tools you can give to these young women, old women, or single mom they can use to set boundaries.
Yeah. I think one of the first things that you have to do, I have liked with all of my clients to kind of draw up a compass of sorts using their values. And we kind of talked about this too prior to this podcast. And when I say values, I'm not really talking about like my family. Like I value my family, or I value financial, freedom or financial success. I'm really more so talking about characteristics that my clients want to embody. So maybe it is authenticity, maybe it is freedom. I want them to find the things that they really value and want to kind of take with them out into the world, the person who they want to be, and have them use those as a compass so that when they are in a situation that requires them to make some sort of decision about something, they have something that can help lead them in that decision making versus just winging it.
Yeah.
Or maybe making a decision based on other people's values because this is what they would do and it doesn't align with them.
So usually when people come to you, do you also help coach couples too, or?
I have worked with a few couples. Most of the time it is an individual that's part of a couple. And again, like because we can't change the other person, my work really focuses on, even if you want some things to be different about them, how are you responding to what they are doing? How are you reacting to it? Can we shift something about what you're bringing into the relationship? Because that has a ripple effect on the relationship.
I think the relationship, actually, I had another psychotherapist prior to you, and we were talking about, these boundaries, and also like for couples, especially for couples that they don't communicate very well. Mm-hmm. Because one thing person is saying, like basically holding something in their heart and not basically communicating very well. Mm-hmm. And that's where you talk about comes resentment. Mm-hmm. And actually that one thing prior to this podcast, you told me that the resentment is actually a good thing.
I see it as a good thing. I don't know that everyone does.
Yes, please elaborate or explain that to our audience. What do you mean by when you said resentment is a good thing? Because it has a very negative connotation.
Yeah. I think I see it that way because I see it as like really good information. And the information tells me what I can do to not feel that way anymore. I think a lot of times when people feel resentment, the kind of thoughts that we're having in our brain are like, something wrong is being done to me. Someone is doing something that they shouldn't. Someone has put me in this position. Mm-hmm. And so we tend to blame something externally. Of course, like there are multiple things as part of the problem, but we're usually feeling that resentment come up because we either said yes when we meant no. We weren't honest. We were appeasing. Maybe we were people pleasing. We weren't holding boundaries. We weren't tending to our needs. So we have done something to kind of put ourselves in this situation. And so when we notice resentment being there, it's like, oh, what do I need to be more honest about? Like, what am I noticing now that is not a good fit for me or that I need to say something about? That's how you get rid of that resentment. And so when it shows up, it's like a great messenger.
So it's come down to the same that we talked about earlier, the communication. I think the communication, of course, is the key. And resentment. I mean, you're the expert. So resentment, of course, we talk about that, hey, is like a poison you're taking and someone else, expecting someone else to die. Because we take so much, these grudges sometimes in relationship that we can move forward. So in your practice, let's say you have a couple come to you. Do you have any example that what kind of major struggles they have? Like, one is basically trying to put other person down or something like that.
So that's a whole other can of worms, because something I'm always kind of watching out for is whether or not something seems to fit a description of abuse in some way. Yeah. Is this just like we got mad during an argument and said something that we wish we didn't say, or is it an ongoing pattern of abusive behavior in some way?
So let's talk, actually, you said, Marie, what are the red flags when you see that these are basically abusive relationship?
I think some of the things that I am looking for are, and of course this is consistent behavior. It's not just kind of a one-off situation.
It's a pattern.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pattern of explosive, both behaviors and words, talking over someone else. So just getting louder and louder so that the partner who they're talking at just kind of shuts down eventually. I'm also trying to pay attention in my clients to whether or not they are constantly second-guessing themselves, whether they say, well, this didn't feel good, but then they are explaining it away or justifying the other person's behavior. If they are continually playing in their minds, like, how are they going to react? Like they're almost preemptively trying to prepare for the big reaction that they know they're going to get. Those are all kinds of things that I'm just noticing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we might want to discuss. If there is some sort of indication that there is abuse going on, that's when I'm going to want to suggest that they go and work with a therapist. They can do that in addition to coaching. We can put a pause on coaching. They can come back with me after they've gone and worked with a therapist. But if there is abuse going on, that's the kind of thing where I want to get like another mental health professional pulled in.
So you were talking about, basically shut down kind of thing. Some in a relationship, one person is very communicative and other person is not talking at all. Or like you said, shut down. Do you think this shutting down is also some form of abuse?
Like going the other way?
Yeah, meaning like you're not communicating at all. You just basically shut down.
I mean, it certainly can be. There's
narcissistic kind of.
The Gottmans are some relationship researchers that have been experts in the field for decades, put out a lot of good books. They talk about like the 4 horsemen of relationships that kind of, like if these are present, things are not going to go well. One of those is stonewalling. And that's where it's just kind of like, I'm turning off my attention to you intentionally, like a punishing kind of thing. Like, I don't like what you're saying, so therefore I'm not going to listen to it. So it's intended to be a kind of wall between you and the other person.
Yeah.
Yep. So in those situations, yes. On the other hand, and this is why I think I always go into situations looking for the nuance, like I want more information, because there are other situations, and myself I'm included in this, where I'm neurodivergent, so I have ADHD, and with that is some emotional dysregulation, so it's very easy for me to get emotionally flooded in situations where there's conflict, and when that happens, in the middle of a conflict, I might want to discuss it. I might have plenty to say. And it's like my system becomes so overwhelmed that
you shut down.
It's a blank. Like I have nothing. I'm not going to make sense with my words. There's too many thoughts at once. And so in those situations, like I might work with a client on like figuring out how do we communicate that that's happening to our partner so that they don't think we're just trying to avoid the situation. Maybe it's a like one word, like a safe word that they can say to their partner. They both know what that means.
And
it's like, okay, we can come back to it.
Yes.
And when we do discuss it, it doesn't necessarily have to be verbally. It could be that maybe they take some time to write things out back and forth. Maybe it's emails that are exchanged over the course of a few days so that they have time to read and process. Because I think people just operate, their systems operate differently and on different timelines. And I think socially, we see like being able to, address it right then and verbally in person, that as being the like best way to do it. And I just, at the end of the day, if you communicate and it gets sorted out, who cares if it was in person, over email, if it happened in the moment, or if it took 2 or 3 days. As long as there's a solution, I do not care how that happens.
Yeah. I mean, same thing, the communication thing. And I think I was maybe one of that person too that shuts down. If somebody says something to me, then I'm totally like not communicating. I think was terrible communicating what I'm feeling. But I have to learn that hey, you need to communicate in order to, because nobody can read your mind.
Right.
And sometimes we think that our spouses or our partners can read our minds.
Yes.
And I think I was one of those person that, hey, they should know what I'm feeling. But the thing is that how the other person know what you're feeling when you're not even communicating.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even know. Sometimes it's not even clear to you. It might be like, I'm upset about the dishes being done. But underneath all of that is like, I don't feel like I have a partner. I don't feel like I'm being seen for all the other stuff I do around the house.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to get down underneath kind of the surface level issue.
So do you think that this kind of a behavior or this kind of thing is like has something to do with the childhood growing up, or maybe something?
I think just by default, the kind of brain that I have is always going to revolt against saying it's one thing or the other, just because I see so much nuance and complexity in life and human beings. So I definitely think that has an impact for sure. Like the patterns that you see growing up, trauma that you may experience as a child, of course, that's going to influence it. However, I don't think that means you're stuck that way.
Oh, yeah. No, I really like your approach because you're going against the herd. Mostly people, this happened to me in childhood, and that's what. So there's a very, well, of course, things happen in childhood and all that, and things can affect on you, but the thing is that while you're growing up, you can learn things. There's a very famous quote from Gandhi. He said, if you born in a poor family, that's not your fault. But if you stay poor, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Because you have a power to choose.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right. Actually, I totally agree with you. I like that you are, not the same thing. Oh, well, this has happened to my childhood, and let's work on that. Yeah, it happens, childhood. It could affect you, but once you're growing up, you can change a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, do you also coach business people?
I have coached someone at some point. I've been kind of a general life coach. So if you can think of it, it's probably come up in session, or it's been like some part of their story. So I've coached other coaches, people working in corporate America.
Yeah.
It really has varied. I've coached stay-at-home moms.
So what are the, I would say, symptoms do you see, or like major issues with people who are working with, let's say, corporate America, and they are struggling with most of the things what you see on those people that they're struggling with? Meaning like some people, so for me, sometimes I feel like I'm bottleneck my own self because, I'm trying to do perfect things. Hey, this has to be this way. and then it just stuck. There's nothing is moving.
Yeah.
Especially like, let's say this podcast. I've been, working on this podcast for so long. Then, finally, I said, I need to, just talking or watching thing is not going to help me. I need to take an action because I was becoming my own bottleneck. So do you see this kind of a pattern in your clients?
I would say that it's less about like people in business and they have these certain issues, and then stay-at-home moms have these certain issues. There are some differences, again, about the situation that they're in, but I think just because of who I am and what I talk about working on, some of the themes are the same in all my clients regardless, and those tend to be, again, those things around like setting boundaries. Sometimes a very common theme is challenging kind of some social norms. It might be cultural norms of the business. It might be messages that they kind of grew up with from other people outside themselves about how to be successful and what professional means. So it can be sometimes challenging some of those status quos because something doesn't feel like a good fit for them. They're feeling some sort of tension or resistance, and they're not really sure what to do about it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, the people-pleasing, the boundaries, those come out regardless of the situation. If that's something that you struggle with, it's going to find a way into whatever scenario you're in with your life.
So let's talk about people-pleasing. Where did this behavior come from?
So I don't know if I have a good answer for like exactly
Meaning
where
like
it starts.
it's something like, like we talk about childhood trauma or something, or you see like when somebody's growing up and they see the pattern in their parents that they are people pleasing.
Yeah.
And I guess they thought that, but this is how you deal with.
Yeah. So again, I think it's complex. I think there's multiple things that can be going on. If you grow up in a family where there is conflict and the way that someone in that family kind of deals with the conflict is to just do what everybody else needs them to do, that can be a learned, like, oh, that's how we're supposed to handle those situations. Yeah. I think if you're someone who is neurodivergent and you have some characteristics of like rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is such a strong physical and emotional response to perceived criticism and rejection, starting from when you're a kid, if it feels horrible when you're being rejected or criticized, even if it's not intended that way, if that's how it is perceived, it could be that to make that go away, your first response becomes, well, I'll just be what you need me to be. I'll do whatever you need to do. I'll agree with whatever you want me to agree with.
So do you think that insecurities also play a big role in
Oh,
people?
sure. Yes. I think
that I'm not good enough or...
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, a lot of what people-pleasing behavior is doing, it's attempting to control the other person's perception of you.
I think, so most of the people live by other people's perception. Because there's a very famous line from Charles Horton Cooley. He said, so I'm going to mess this up, but I'm going to try. I love his line when he said that. He said, I'm not what you think I am. I am not who you think I am. Mm-hmm. I think what you think I am. Say that 5 times.
That's hard to remember. That's a difficult quote to remember.
So, meaning like we live our life, other people's perception, what other person is going to think about me. Mm-hmm. Like if let's say I'm making, I'm trying to get up and dress and all that. I'm not going to wear this jacket because I don't know. I like this jacket, but I don't know how other people is going to think of me. Mm-hmm. Maybe they think, oh, look at this guy. Mm-hmm. This is because so I'm not going to wear this jacket now. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a behavior. I think this is also comes into this insecurities. Mm. I mean, of course, you're the expert. I'm not the one, but that's my thinking. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
I think, yes, to some extent as human beings, I think we are biologically wired to want to belong. because evolutionarily,
Yeah.
if you didn't belong, you were going to die out on your own. So I think that is still there to some degree. But I also think there are some people who maybe if we think about it as a spectrum, you could be someone on the spectrum who it doesn't matter how close you are to someone or whether you do not know them off the street, you hate the idea of someone thinking something negative
Bad about
you.
Yeah.
So you are kind of basing what you do on everybody, on trying to please everyone and fit in as best you can. I think another person on the spectrum could be like, well, I don't really care what everyone on the bus thinks of this jacket, but if their partner hates it, it's like, well, okay, maybe I really value their opinion, so maybe I won't wear it.
So no, that's another key word you said. If you value someone's opinion, that's also because so for me, I mean, of course, it's a work in progress. For me, is also if I don't value somebody's opinion, I don't care, honestly.
Right.
I mean, not to be rude or anything.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
If I don't care that person's opinion, I don't care whatever they think about it. So when you growing up, I know you said you had ADHD and all that. When did you basically find out that you need some kind of a professional help into that?
Yeah. So I grew up with psychologist.
Your dad, yeah.
I have two younger sisters. My younger sister, I think, was diagnosed with ADD. So now it's lumped together as one. It's just ADHD. You either have inattentive type, hyperactive type, or combined. So she would have been inattentive type. And that was maybe second grade. We're very different. So that's kind of how we profiled ADHD, was that inattentive type. My youngest sister had multiple health issues, seizures, very bad seizures when she was a baby, continued as long as she's been alive, and mental health issues. And she was put on the autism spectrum eventually. And so I was not unfamiliar with mental health and diagnoses. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology, got a master's in marriage and family therapy, learned a lot about different diagnoses, and never occurred to me that I had ADHD myself until my children left. I had them full time after I got divorced from their father. And during COVID, I won't get into the whole long story. It was very complicated, but they had the opportunity to go live with their dad in Sicily for a couple of
Italy?
years. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So for the first time, I did not have them for a long stretch of time. And partially it was because of a surge in information on social media about ADHD and neurodivergence in women, older adult women. That was part of what kind of started my curiosity around it. But the other piece was now I didn't have kids at home, and yet all the things I've been blaming on mom brain for all these years were still happening. So I would be like, why am I so hungry at 4:00? And then I'm thinking, what did I eat today? And there's my breakfast in the microwave that I've left for like 4 hours, and totally forgot about. Or I was having trouble keeping up with dates and times for things before. It's because of my busy mom schedule. So it was kind of eye-opening to me that maybe it's not just mom brain or being busy.
Yeah.
Because now I don't have that excuse. So I ended up getting diagnosed. I think I was 34 when I got diagnosed. And it was surprising to me, but made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, with your experience and all that, what kind of tools you will advise to our listeners who are struggling with this problem? And like you said, you were thinking that this is just a mom brain and all that.
Yeah.
How they can...
I have so much to say.
Yes, please.
Because I think for a long time, and it's changing, but I don't think we're away from it totally yet. I think the assumption has been that ADHD in particular is like a behavioral issue. So you just need to, if you know you don't focus well, just focus more. Just pay more attention if you don't pay attention. And what we know about it now is it is brain wiring. It's not a matter of do I want to pay attention or not. It's literally your brain decides for you that like we're just not being attentive right now.
Yeah.
It cannot handle it. So I think the first thing I would want people to know is like it's not a matter of trying hard. Your brain is just wired differently. So we need to find you tools that help make life easier with the brain that's wired differently instead of trying to think about like, I just need to figure out how to not do this anymore, whatever these behaviors are.
So the tools, do you recommend any tools that they can use to?
Yeah, there's a lot of information out right now, particularly when it comes to things related to productivity. So when I say that, I'm meaning like turning things in on time for work, maybe managing multiple projects at a time, paying your bills, staying focused during meetings or presentations and not missing key information. There's a lot of information, books, podcasts, tons of resources about different things that tend to work well for people. But I would also say the thing to remember is that ADHD is very individual. So what may work well for someone else, whatever system they use, it doesn't mean that it can just be replicated for you and work the same way. So we have to know that like, oh, there's this whole toolbox that we could pick from, but we want to make sure that the tools are personalized and that we're figuring out how to best match them to your particular brain and your scenario of like whatever needs there are. I would also say a tool I'm 100% behind if people are willing to explore it is medication because
you do recommend it? Okay.
Yes. Based on research, ADHD is one of the most, if not the most treatable mental health diagnosis that's currently in the DSM with medication because it's an issue with neurotransmitters in the brain. We know that if we can adjust those, things get better.
So do you think that some people who have this ADHD and they can create some kind of a habit to basically help themselves, basically, like you were saying that you put your breakfast in an oven and just forget about it for 4 hours or something like that. Maybe they can create some kind of a habit that basically make them to remember things.
Yeah.
Or now, of course, with technology, you can, notifications. And also, do you think that using a lot of screen also impact your brain cells?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely think technology has created more and more of a like cultural difficulty with paying attention for long periods of time or being overwhelmed. Like I actually don't think notifications are great for
me too.
People with ADHD. It's too, like if you're in deep work on something and you have these notifications popping up, your brain, an ADHD brain is kind of always on the lookout for what it needs to be aware of.
Yeah.
So when it sees those coming in, it's going to be taken down that track of like, oh, I need to email them. I need to blah, blah, blah.
So there is, of course, as a research actually, that once you are working on one project or something, and even if you just pick up the phone and just look one for a second, it takes your brain to rewire for 15 minutes to get back into that focus mode again.
Yep.
And that's why there is also the called Pomodoro technique, actually.
Yep.
It's Italian, Pomodoro, I think, such Italian word meaning tomato. I don't know why they come up with this Pomodoro.
I know, yeah.
So Pomodoro technique, as you know, you work on something for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, and then you take a break for 5 to 10 minutes. And that's where you can basically focus on more. And also, there's focus is acronym of follow one course until finish or until satisfy. That's what the focus for me too.
Yeah.
So ADHD, and then, of course, you heard there's a lot of bipolar problems. Do you see the similarity into these two mental?
Yeah, I have real strong feelings about this, actually, because I think based on more recent research, as we're learning more about what ADHD looks like in adults and particularly women, because most of the initial research was like white, 6-year-old, middle class, elementary school boys. That's what a lot of our descriptions of ADHD are based on. So the research on women has been lagging. And a lot of women get misdiagnosed with a mood disorder because of the emotional regulation issues that are actually part of ADHD. And then on top of that, you add in women who have menstrual cycles, puberty, and perimenopause, menopause. We know that the hormones involved in that process for women are also affecting the neurotransmitters and can make symptoms worse. There are women who their ADHD gets worse during the luteal phase of their cycle, and so their dosage is adjusted for their ADHD medication. But it presents as an emotional, rapid cycling mood disorder of some sort, when really it's ADHD, and so it's not being treated appropriately.
So, that's pretty interesting. So, in your own case, dealing with ADHD, what kind of tools you use for yourself to help you?
I would say the number one tool is less of a tool and it's more of a mindset. And that is, it felt like my ADHD diagnosis was a giant permission slip to stop trying to make myself do things the way all the other neurotypical individuals are doing it. So like in college, here's how you study. Here's how you work on a project, as you do a little bit at a time, when you have 4 weeks before it's due. My brain works better when it's in deadline mode.
And like a pressure.
Yes. And that's just what works best for me. And that for a long time, just as an example, felt like I was cheating or not doing it the right way. Somehow an imposter because I'm doing it all at the last minute and still getting a great grade on it. And so I think just being able to start from scratch, even with the most minuscule things like how the refrigerator is organized, like everyone puts all the condiments and jars in the door and vegetables and fruits and things in the drawers. ADHD brains have object permanence issues. So if we don't see it, we forget that it exists. So it could be as simple as, well, who cares if everyone else does their fridge that way? If it's better for you to put the produce in the door, so you see it every time, it's like, oh, I need to use that before it goes bad, and put the jars and things that you don't get out that much that can stay there for a long time, put those in the drawers. It's just like giving yourself permission to rethink everything.
I think that's a great advice.
What works for my brain?
No, I think that's a great advice. Because I think so mental health, as you know, especially in US, do you think that we are seeing these mental issues like ADHD or autism or bipolar due to the environment we are living in with the technology and social media and all that? Or do you think that our food making us basically more sick?
I have a really hard time saying like, yes, it's absolutely that.
Of course, not one thing, but part of it.
There's, of course, probably combinations of things. Like there are things we should be doing differently with food that would help everybody in some way. There are things we should be doing differently with technology and social media in terms of our boundaries around those things and how we use them. That would be better for our nervous system and our brains, our overall health. And at the same time, with something like neurodivergence in particular, and like autism and ADHD would be lumped under that umbrella. I think with the number of people being diagnosed and how prevalent it is, I lean more towards thinking about it as like just another type of brain. I think there's probably more of them than we initially thought. And so the issue isn't those brains. The issue is that most of our world has been created for this other type of brain, the neurotypical brain. And that's how everything is set up. So, of course, when you have a brain that doesn't fit that very well, they're going to struggle. But that doesn't necessarily mean that brain is a problem.
Yeah, I don't think brain. Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with you. The thing is that brain is basically like a muscle. You can train the brain too. Like muscle, you're working out. You can train your muscle. You can train your brain too. So, I mean, I know you have 2 young kids. Both are teenagers. And I know earlier you told me that you basically try to keep them from so much screen time. You reward them. And I know you were saying something about your 16-year-old that you told her that, hey, if you don't use too much screen.
Oh, yeah.
So please.
It was more so, I just want to correct it a little bit because my sister has a 9-month-old and was very like, I'm not going to do screens. I'm going to keep her away from that. And when you're a mom at home all day long and you need to take a shower, you will put on the screen if you need to. I let my kids watch a lot of TV when they were younger. I was very deliberate about what they watched. It was a lot of educational stuff. It was PBS. I think I've successfully turned them into huge nerds. But
good.
It was more so social media that I was concerned about, not just screens in general.
Yeah, that's what actually, I'm sorry. That's what I meant, like mostly social media.
Yeah. I don't even remember. I know I can't take credit for it myself. I'm sure I saw something somewhere about this or something similar, but I think my oldest was maybe 11 or 12. She was past 10 years old, but I basically created an agreement with the 2 of them that if they would stay off of social media until they were 16, they would get $1,600.
I think that's great.
And the math is very simple. It's like starting at age 10, $20 a month is all I have to save, something like that. And I had my older daughter is really into digital art and graphic design. And she just could not hold out. So she took some of her money and ran. Basically, when she was maybe 14, 15. My younger one, though, just got Instagram about 2 days ago because she just had her 16th birthday. And she has said she's one of the only ones at her school without her own account. Now, she sees stuff because it's everywhere. She sees stuff on YouTube. She sees what everyone else is watching. But she didn't have her own account to share things or have comments or likes or messages. And she has recognized how it has been used to hurt other kids and create drama and create, friendship issues, relationship issues. And she's been glad. She said she's been glad that she's kind of out of that loop. And I think because she's been out of it, it's given her some perspective that I hope will be helpful to her now that she is on it. I just wanted a little bit of breathing room. Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea. That's when you told me first time, I said, wow, that's a great idea. I mean, I don't have any kids, but so the young parents who their kids are young, do you think that it's a good idea to give a 10-year-old or 12-year-old a phone?
I probably don't have a very simple answer. I don't think necessarily having a phone is bad. Being able to contact your kids, there's so many extracurriculars and stuff now that kids are involved in. And personally, one of my concerns with my kid not having or being able to have a phone at school is all the, school shootings that we've had. I want my kids, if there's an emergency, to be able to contact me. So I don't necessarily think the phone is bad. I grew up with a landline. I want my kids to be able to talk to people. I know for our household, we love music. It's nice for them to be able to get on Spotify and have their own playlist and whatnot. for me, I still think it comes down to the social media. I think if parents can do a phone where there's parental controls and they have a plan in mind for when they want to allow their kids to have accounts on social media or whatever apps, at what age, and what are the rules going to be, the expectations around the use of that. I think that's most important, and more so important than just the general question of can they have a phone or not. It's how they use it.
I think,
really.
you're right. I think having a phone, as long as you are basically for emergency purpose and not have social media, not have these apps. But of course, with the way the technology is going, especially now with this AI revolution going on right now, these kids, of course, I think the environment, we created the environment for these young kids that basically now they can have access to anything at any time. Good, bad, ugly. And I think that's also impacting so much problem with this, the mental health issues going on especially in young kids. Because I usually say the Gen Z is kind of in trouble right now. In meaning because first of all, they have so much bombarded with this social media and the fake things, especially that they're looking on these fake lives people are living, and they think that this is all good, and they're trying to basically copy that.
And now you have actual fake stuff generated by AI.
Yeah. So I think parents need to be very careful now to see what their kids are watching or what the kids are basically, doing it. Before, when we growing up, we didn't have the internet or things like that. We were just basically, our parents are, okay, well, you need to go out and play, and then this time you need to come back. Now they don't have to get out. They can do anything in their bedroom.
Yep. Well, and parents, I think, are more scared now, even though crime rates have gone down. Parents are less likely to send their kids out into the neighborhood just to play without a parent being there and watching them and monitoring everything. So there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, I think. But it also takes parents educating themselves and parents keeping up with what's happening and what's going on with apps and things to pay attention to. And that's work. And I think a lot of parents, it's not that they don't want to do the work. They're already overwhelmed with so much stuff in their own life and with parenting in general. I think that it's like, that just seems like, well, as long as they seem okay, as long as my kid seems okay, it'll be fine.
So, change, of course, we all want to change. But the thing is that we don't want to have any kind of action plan to do that. There's a famous quote from Navy SEAL. He said, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Because we want to change, but we don't want to do that. So before we wrap this up, what do you think in your practice or in your experience you see that the lies basically we tell ourselves about change?
What's funny is the first thing that came to mind as you were talking about that is I was running through several conversations with clients where they've come into a session, either it's the start of our work together or at some point in our work together. They talk about wanting to change something and they are not doing it. They just, they keep saying it. And when we really dig into it, sometimes they don't have a good reason. They don't have a personal inherent connection to the change itself and why they want to make it. They don't have connection to it. It's like, well, this is what everyone else says I should be doing. An example is just like a morning routine. I should get up, I should journal, I should do gratitude, something. I shouldn't scroll on my phone. I should have a glass of water. I should stretch, all these things. And they've been trying to have a morning routine for 5 years and always maybe start off fine and then they don't continue with it. So I'm more interested, instead of figuring out like, well, what can we do next? I'm more interested in first, like, let's make sure you know why you say you want to do this and
Oh,
you
yeah.
like your reasons
Yeah.
for it. Because it's a lot easier to change it when you feel some sort of pull or motivation, or some inherent value.
I think you just said the key word, why. Why you want to do something or why you want to change something. Because if you find the why, then I think, there's a Jim Rohn life coach. He has a famous line. He said, if your why is strong enough, your how become easier.
Yes. Yep.
So I think that's the key word you said, that why. And also, what is the purpose you want to change something? What's the purpose behind that?
Yep.
So Kimberly, before we go, there's anything else you like to share with our audience that might helpful especially for younger moms and single moms?
Yeah. I think the thing, I'm probably talking to my younger self,
Yes,
and my sister, thinking about her being a new mom, is that what's going to be best for you is also best for your baby or your child. So even though you feel like you need to be completely self-sacrificing, just don't worry about your needs because the child needs whatever, or you hear all this other stuff about how you're supposed to be as a parent. If you need sleep, if you just need to set the baby down for 5 minutes instead of holding them because they're crying, because you're going to lose your mind, or you need to go to the bathroom. Like, you taking care of yourself is ultimately taking care of your child.
No, that's because that's how, on a plane, that's what this is. Put your oxygen mask first, because if you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else. So I think that's a great advice, that you need to take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, your baby will be taken care of.
Yeah.
And
if you're not burnt out, if you're not exhausted, if you're not like at the end of your rope and almost like emotionally spent, you'll be able to better tend to your child's needs without losing it, without feeling resentful, without having a big reaction that maybe you wish you hadn't had for some reason. Like, you'll be able to tend to all of that more easily.
So, I mean, before you go, actually, I do have a question about, so you said burnout. Most people, they don't basically figure out this is a burnout, or I am basically all the time tired. This basically. So, in your experience or in your practice, when somebody says, "Hey, I'm basically exhausted all the time," or "I'm burning out," what kind of advice you give them?
I mean, first, I'm probably going to tell them, if they haven't checked in with their primary care physician, their gynecologist, if it's a woman, I'm going to want them to check in with them just to let them know, like, here's how I've been feeling. Can we rule out something physical going on? Because, again, for women, perimenopause is 4 to 10 years and has a lot of changes. And you can have a great life and be taking naps and getting good night's sleep, and you're still exhausted all the time. You're not crazy. There's a physical component going on. So I'm always going to want to make sure that they're ruling out anything happening there. And then, if that all looks good, I'm just going to want to dig into any patterns that we see. Are you getting tired? Are you tired at the same time every day, at the same point, certain days of the week, when certain schedule things happen? Have you been feeling this way for a really long time? Is this relatively new? I'm just going to want to do some detective work to figure out, like, is there some sort of clue that we can use to address whatever is causing this?
So first, of course, they have to go and see their PCP. And then if they're all good, then contact people like you.
Yeah.
Who can...
I can still work with a client. Like, I'm still going to do some digging. and figure out what I can. Because even if there is a physical issue going on, I can still help my client figure out how to best navigate that. So they don't have to do it in a particular order. But I think that's a big piece of the puzzle. So I'm definitely going to advocate for that. I can't make my client do anything, but I'm always going to advocate, like, let's look at the whole picture instead of just this one tiny piece.
Kimberly, I can actually talk in the next 1 more hour with you because I like your approach. You have a actually great approach, and I kind of like the way you don't just, follow the herd kind of thing advice. So before we go, where people can find you and connect with you?
Yeah. So if they go to Instagram, that is where I am most active. So they can find me at the Kimberly Mathis, THE, Kimberly Mathis. And my Instagram has links for my website where they can contact me to work with me. I also have a podcast called Life Coached that I'm getting my words tangled up, that they can find on Apple Podcast or Spotify.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kimberly. It was very fascinating conversation with you. I wish we had more time, but we'll hopefully bring you back again and we'll talk some more.
I'd love to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And please comment that what kind of the things that stood out for you for our conversation and what kind of actually advice you can have for us to basically make these kind of videos more. Again, thank you very much. Until then, we'll see you next video and keep seeking.